This is Doc Hogg. My real name is David Hoagberg, and I want to welcome you all to episode 85 of Comics and Variety. My guest tonight is Scott McCullough, who has a campaign that's still on Indiegogo for his comic book, Doorkickers, Panzer Demon. How much longer do you think your campaign's going to be going, Scott?
So the plan is to close it sometime end of January, beginning of February. I haven't nailed that down just yet. So maybe little less than a month left.
So still some time, but for anyone who hasn't gotten it yet, they do need to get on it soon. Then, correct?
Yep.
All righty. Why don't you just start by what we're going to do here tonight is Scott had his campaign going, and he had a fixed goal on Indiegogo of $5,000, and you've now hit over 12,000. Is that correct?
That's right. We're about 12,500. So we just hit that 12,000 stretch goal not too long ago. So now hopefully we can look at that $15,000 stretch goal by the end of the campaign.
Well, that would be marvelous, and good luck to you. And we're basically just going to talk about how he got there. You know, how he conducted his campaign, what he did before the campaign, during, and so forth. Why don't you first start by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you actually got into making comics?
Yeah, I mean, like so many in Comicsgate, I've been a comic book fan forever. I mean, I was a art student in college. I never really wanted to be a comics artist, but the college is where I kind of drifted towards writing. Of course, like any ambitious young man, I didn't want to write comics. I wanted to write movies, and I thought writing in comics would be a good kind of way to kind of learn my craft. So I did a little writing, got paid for it. Mostly it was like ghostwriting stuff for people that I knew that were in the industry. So it was kind of like subcontractor stuff. But, ultimately, I got sidetracked by life, doing other things, stopped collecting comics in the late 90s. Probably Image Comics was where I was at when I finally stopped. I was a big X-Men, G.I. Joe, Marvel fan in the early to mid 80s. So I think a lot of guys of our generation probably are right there. That was really what drew us in, because the stories were so good back then. Yeah. But but after 9/11, I definitely got distracted by. I got back in the Army. I was in the National Guard in the 90s, and then got back in the Army after 9/11. And so I spent quite a many years overseas after that. And then so eventually, though, during my deployed time, I kind of got back into writing. And one of the things that I came back to was this idea. Like, I loved G.I. Joe growing up as a kid, but the one thing, looking at G.I. Joe as an adult, especially an adult with, combat tours under my belt, was just it was just too cartoon for my taste. So I was thinking, something military, more gritty, more real. Looks like what real special operations looks like at the time. And so that's where I came up with the idea of Doorkickers. The other thing is that, the reason why I like Doorkickers is they don't focus on the same bad guys we focus on all the time. It's kind of nice to have a fantastical bad guy to focus on. It's not that I don't mind kicking, terrorists in the teeth, but, when you face that kind of stuff in real life, it's like, what's worse, so, that's where I wanted to take it. And, and I was and just like every guy in the Army, we bump into these guys we call OGA, meaning other government agencies. So CIA, JSOC, which is Joint Special Operations Command, and they're always wearing civilian clothes, or they're always wearing, the Gucci gear. And so the idea kind of came, well, what would it look like if there was a agency within the government that was kind of secret, and their job was to fight supernatural threats within the same framework that we are currently fighting, just regular terrorist threats. So,
Mm-hmm.
that came up. That's where I kind of came up with that first story that I did as the 10-page giveaway, the Breezy Dream, where the Doorkickers come to Afghanistan. They work with a Delta team, and then after a successful mission, they recruit the team leader of the Delta team into their organization. So.
I'm going to try to share a couple of images here from a YouTube video that I have that has some images from Doorkickers, and you can just tell us a little bit about the. Here we go. Yeah, hold on here. Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about this? What I assume is a cover here. Yeah, can you see that?
I can't see it.
Huh. Let's see here. Trying to share my screen. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Application window. All
There
right.
we go.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that cover.
So this is Narwhal. When I started thinking about doing a second cover variant, the first guy that popped in my head was somebody that had been friendly with me since the early days in Comicsgate, and that was Narwhal. It's got such a dynamic, style. I think more than anybody in Comicsgate, he really kind of captures the snapshot of motion, so you can really see the dynamicism of the action when he captures it. And so this is kind of, I've explained it this way before, but if you look through the first couple pages of the comic that are available on the Indiegogo page, you'll notice that there's this guy that catches fire, and one of the Doorkickers, Stillen, he engages with him. Well, but you kind of cut away from that to follow the main action as the other two team members go in further into the building. Well, this cover captures what we don't see fully in the book, which is that moment where Stillen is just going toe to toe with this flame minion, and it's just I kind of like it. It's that deleted scene kind of image. So I wanted to make sure, I knew I wasn't going to be able to fit it in the first couple pages, but I wanted to make sure somehow I captured it. So
well, there's a lot of movement on that cover, which is really, really good, and it looks like he's really straining to try to get his hand around its neck or whatever there. So that's really a dynamic cover. No two ways about it.
All right, you can feel the heat.
Oh yeah. Let me bring up another image or two here. All righty. What is this from in the
so this is actually
in the story?
This is actually panel 1, and this actually, it's the old version of panel 1. We've updated this since then. It looks like there's windows. It looks like there's windows on this UAV, but this is one of the UAVs from ESD, which is the agency that the Doorkickers work for, the Enhanced Security Directorate. And essentially, UAVs, as you know, are a huge part in anti-terror operations throughout the world. And so this just kind of establishes that kind of eye in the sky for what they're going through, because at the bottom of the page, of the same page, you see the team stacking up to go into the building. So it kind of just sets, this is the first panel in a 4-panel scene setter, and then in pages 2 and 3 you go into that double page splash where they're kicking in the front door of the place, and it just really sets up the action. So
okay, we'll do one more here. I think, is this the double splash here?
Yeah, that's the double splash. So they kick in the door, and essentially they're taking down enemies and getting ready. And the number 3 guy is Marius, our combat mage, who's ready to start casting spells. So
now I just want to say that this is a promo that I did for his comic on one of my videos, and I usually, before I do this kind of a promo, I usually ask the creator for, can you send me a little extra preview? And Scott sent me a good portion of the script for his comic book. And I didn't know he was in the military at that point. I'm reading through this. I'm going, boy, this really seems like this guy's in the military. He knows the detail here. I mean, if he isn't in the military, he certainly got me fooled, which I guess wouldn't be that hard, but it was still pretty good. So when you told me this evening that you were pulled into some intel meeting and you might be late to the broadcast, I was like, okay, yeah, I remember that now. Maybe he actually is in the military. So all righty. Well, why don't we move on now and let's talk a little bit about your campaign. When did you actually go live with your Indiegogo campaign? Because I did the promo. This date here is in August, so you started it, I'm sure, sometime a little before that.
I want to say it was the end of. I guess I'm like blanking on the date. I can actually open it up real quick and tell you. But yeah, it was towards the middle to end of August is when I went.
Okay.
I want to say it was actually in the 20-something August. But
I must have gotten your promo real fast, which is unusual for me. So, okay, what did you do leading up to the actual launching of the campaign? The campaign going live, because I think a lot of creators think, oh, I get the campaign up and going and then promote the crap out of it. I'm hoping to launch my own comic sometime in late February, maybe into March. And, one of the things I'm learning right now is, you really need to do a lot of build up before you actually hit the button and start trying to raise funds. What did you do?
Right. Yeah. By the way, it was 23 July. So that was about a month into the campaign is when you did that promo, I guess.
Yeah. So, well, that would make more sense.
So, I mean, I know the formula within Comicsgate is to start a YouTube channel and then use that YouTube channel to kind of bring your awareness to the folks. Use it to interact with the community and then also to just promote your book, right? Mm-hmm. Well, just because of the circumstances of my life, I just don't have time to do a channel the way you need to be able to do it. You need to be regular. You need to be able to have predictability. I think, especially when you're a young channel, once you have 100,000 subscribers, yeah, you can be a little more, random as to when you come on and things like that. But ultimately, I think you have to be able to be consistent. I think that's what I've noticed just in the analysis I've done for the channels that have been successful. So and one of my friends, Clint, Sweetcast, he is, Uber, a video every day, and I was learning a lot from him and I came up with some ideas for a channel, but I just realized that I wasn't going to be able to make it work. So what I did was I was like, okay, well, I need to get to where I can interact with the community in a way that, makes me known. So I really focused on key influencers within the Comicsgate community. I start to get to know those folks, to find out who they are, to find out what they do, what have they done to be successful. And then, so I kind of just created my messaging based on, what people have done in the past and how I can be successful based on other people's success. So one of the things that Clint did, and I was already thinking about this before Clint did it, but then, it just kind of confirmed what I needed to do was I needed to create a mailing list. Well, I needed to have some sort of awareness. So what I did was I started generating a little bit of buzz, kind of showing off a little bit of art. I paid for some art from my artist Ian, and then I started, and I had the old art so Doorkicker started out in 2015 as a 10-page story in an anthology book.
Okay.
And so I already had that, and there was a 20-page comic that was supposed to come out, but then it didn't. So I had that art. And I had some character designs and things like that. So I already had some assets to deal with to kind of present the idea to the community. And so that just kind of grew on itself, telling people about it, showing it on Twitter, going on Clint's channel, talking about a lot of I wasn't talking about Doorkickers that much. I was just kind of being a member, just, one of the guys on the panels that he would do from time to time in the live streams. But then I started talking about my idea, Doorkickers. And finally, I kind of showed some of the key folks the 10-page, and everybody loved it. And so I got a really good response. And so what I decided to do was to start raising awareness by I attached to the mailing list recruitment the 10-page. So sign up for my mailing list at this link and get the 10-page free Doorkickers comic. And so I had something to give people when they gave me their address. And so I built up a pretty good little mailing list. And I started, I essentially saw where I was, where the script was, how long would it take to recruit an artist. So I found Ian. I have never worked with him directly, but he worked for the same company that did the anthology that I did. And I'd always liked his art, and we were friends on Facebook. So I contacted him. He was up for it. And so we started working, and eventually once I wanted to launch with the first 6 pages, penciled, inked, and colored. And then ideally I wanted to have the lettering done too. And I think a couple days after I launched, I actually had the letterings done, but I may have had it before then. I can't remember. But the idea was to launch with the first 6 pages right there on the page. And that was fairly.
Was this launching of the actual campaign or just the mailing list?
No, that's the actual campaign. But I started the mailing list probably in April.
All right.
With the idea. And then, as soon as I had 50 people on the mailing list, I sent out an email basically saying, hey, Doorkickers is coming soon, launching in late July was what I was always telling everybody. And so that just kind of, it didn't have a date on the calendar, but it did give me some sort of a window. It would force my hand. So I had to kind of work towards it.
Okay.
And then, we just launched in July, and, it worked out really well.
All righty. How important was like social media? I mean, how much promotion did you do on something like Twitter or anything else that you might have used?
Yeah. So I can absolutely connect the spikes in sales to my appearances on YouTube channels.
Okay.
Now, is Twitter important? Yes. I think in the future, Instagram will be, I think in some ways, Instagram, as far as driving sales, will be more important in future campaigns, because I only started building up my Instagram account after I went live on, on Indiegogo. So I was active. I was definitely, I had daily tweets about the book.
I'm sorry. Let me interrupt real quick. Could you do me a favor? Do you have your Instagram account, and could you post it in the comments here if you get a chance?
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't really start, pushing Instagram until after the campaign, and I've had some pretty good success on there, and I've actually noticed that I've started seeing more. I get more referrals from Instagram than I do from Twitter, at least since my Instagram account has been going strong. So, is social media important? It's devastatingly important. And you've got to be interactive. I have very strong opinions on how you should interact as a creator. A lot of this drama kind of stuff kind of comes to mind. And if you're somebody with a pretty big following, I think drama is on your side. But if you're somebody like me who, I don't care who buys my book. And in fact, I hope the OG CG guys buy my book, and I hope the anti-CG people buy my book, and I hope, SJWs buy my book. And if it's just to review it and burn it, then that's awesome, because I get paid either way. Ideally, I want people who appreciate the topics to buy the book, but ultimately, I want to reach as large an audience as possible, because I think it's a cool story, and even people who may not be into CG, I think will read the book and find it to be a good book, a solid read, and like you said, a very kind of interesting and oddly accurate window into military operations as they kind of go on nowadays.
Now, let me ask, like, when you went with Twitter, I mean, how often did you like post, like every day, multiple times a day, advertising? Okay.
So you've got to have the drum beat, right? So I had, I had a day tweet, like day by day. So like it was day 1, day 2, day 3, like I had those tweets going for all 60 days of the main portion of the campaign, and I think I missed one day. And a lot of times I would go into Hootsuite and I would pre-program those posts. So, like I'd sit down on Sunday when I had some time, and I would write up 8 posts, and I'd put pictures with them. And when I had new art coming out, that was good, because I didn't commission. I commissioned the first 6 pages, and I told the artist, I told Ian, I was like, listen, stand by when we hit 5,000, which is our goal. Then we're funded, and I'll commission the rest of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what I did. And so once we hit 5,000, which we did that in about 20 days or so,
Mm-hmm.
so we were funded before the 30 days. So that was great. It really took a kind of load off my mind. So once we did that, I said, go ahead and start drawing. He had already started on his own. I told him, I said, listen, if you want to start drawing, you can. I can't pay you until after we hit 5K though. And so he started doing some stuff, and he was ready to go when I said, pull the trigger on the rest of the book. And so as new stuff, whether it's an interesting panel or a full page, or it was a character sketch, or sometimes the breakdowns, the kind of thumbnail pages, I tried to show a diversity of stuff, and I tried really hard never to show the same image twice. And, so you're always seeing a fresh image. Images draw attention and clicks. So that's that. So that drum beat. So a tweet would have days, whatever, and I'd put some sort of grabber sentence that referred to the image, and then I would probably talk about if it was something colored by Farah, I'd make sure I talk about the color. So it's important for you to talk about your team. Nobody wants to hear about me. They want to hear about the team.
Okay.
Because the writers are really
now.
important.
Can you let me ask you? Does it have to be? I mean, does that image have to be colored, or can you just send out like the sketch? Yeah. You can send out just a sketch in ink and talk about the guy who's doing the ink and that. Okay.
You know what I can do? Actually, Ian did the pencils and the inks, so that was pretty handy. Let me pull up some of my old tweets, and I can show you.
All right.
And you just get a kind of a flavor for how I was doing it. Let's see. It was kind of a while back, so I'm going to have to scroll down here a little bit. But the idea is diversity is good when it comes to images. You want different stuff. And it wasn't until, probably 2 weeks till the end of the campaign that I both discovered and decided I wanted to get more art. So I discovered Gabo Elias, and he is an amazing artist, and he did the black and white cover and the print. And so because I would always want to do a print. I had a guy lined up, but it didn't work out. So And actually, let's see. I think this is good. So, all right. So here's a good. Let me share my. Okay, share screen. Share screen. And let me go to the Twitter. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. You got it?
No. And there's something I have to do on my end here.
Yeah. So I'm sharing my screen. So down by like my face where the camera is, there should be a screen.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is not. Oh, wait, hang on. No.
Let me take it back and I'll share it again. All right. And share screen. And I want to share a Chrome tab. I'm going to share my Twitter. All right. Can you see that?
No, unfortunately, it's just still you and me.
We're booming it up, aren't we? All right. Well, anyway, the idea was. So anyway, towards the end, I had Gabo come in and he did the print and he just knocked it out of the park. I mean, you can, if you want to share it on your end, you can look up the campaign page and you can see his art.
What is the what's
Yeah.
your
what's your if you go to Indiegogo, just type, it'll pop right up. Actually, I could.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah, just search for Doorkickers under Indiegogo and it pops right up.
Oh yeah, no, I got your campaign right here.
Yeah. So if you just scroll down, you see
you're talking about the art. Scroll down for the print. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. Hang on here. Share. Is it sharing my window? Okay, hold on here. Let's see.
There we go.
No, hang on.
That's the YouTube page.
Yeah, hang on here. Just a second. Okay, let's remove that. Oh, wait. Hey, now, wait a minute. There's your screen. Why did that? Oh, I wonder if that had anything to do with it. Okay, is that the tweet right there?
With the girls? Yeah. I was doing this Jigna, one of the main characters of Doorkickers, Jigna, she has the magical ability to be able to speak and understand any human language, right? Actually, it's more than just human languages, but you know that kind of. But anyway, so the point is I got a sketch that character sketch for the original Breezy Dream that Doug Franchen did. He's awesome. Originally on this book, but he just wasn't available. And so he is a Brazilian guy. He's awesome. Then Kelsey Shannon, you know, she's the busty version of Jigno. He did that. He actually drew that live on the Jack Show, one of the earlier episodes, because you know that was up on the screen when he was drawing it. And, you know, Cecil says, "Give her bigger boobs," and so. The final image is image by Gabo, and this is just a kind of an excerpt of the print. So the print is like, you know, you got team members all kind of arrayed together. there's this kind of spooky, form in the dark behind them. So that's kind of the actual image of the Panzer Demon back there. And so anyway, I share a couple more tweets that have got some good art in them. Let's see. There's another from the print right here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, probably with the next Doorkickers project, I can't say this for 100% sure. Gabo here is going to do the interior art for the next one. Let's see, what else do we got here? I'm like showing all my old tweets here. There's the black and white cover. So we just So in the last 2 weeks, we were at 700 something about a week out from 7,000 something. Like a week out from the end of the campaign, the initial campaign, and I wanted to hit 10,000, and I needed to figure out a way I was going to drive some sales. So I had this awesome print. I was like, I'm doing a black and white cover, and so he sent me a copy stripped with the cover stripped out. We put the Doorkickers logo at the top, and there she blows. And I did it as a contest where if you got a black and white copy before the end of the 60 days, then you were entered in a drawing for original winning it. And he never emailed me back.
Yeah,
so
you cut out you cut out there for a second. What was the contest was for an original what?
Original page of art from the book.
Oh, okay.
And so so I used the I did the black and white cover as both a single. If you just want to buy the black and white cover, you can do that. Do the black and white cover too as an add-on. So any of the other, it's only a $20 add-on. So you're saving $5 off of the price of a single issue. So it's a pretty good deal, I think. And, a lot of people have responded really well to this cover.
Okay. How many YouTube channels did you go on? Do you have a rough idea about that? And how often would you go on to promote it?
I went on as much as I could. I was buddies with a lot of different folks. That's the creature design for the Panzer Demon. This is the initial creature.
Oh, very cool.
Very
cool.
Yeah. So Alejandro Mirabal did this is the preliminary sketch. Let me see if I can find the final version. Let's see. Speaking of, that's me on Clint's show right there. Let's see. Yeah, here's like the final design. Sorry, I'm deflecting.
Looks like looks a little bit
like what shows I went on. What's that?
No, I was going to say it looks a little bit like the creature. The head looks a little bit like the creature from Alien, but with a lot of original touches to it. I like it a lot.
There's the painted version of the final design, but so you can really get it's sick. It is just sick. But anyway, so the thing you asked me was about the YouTube channels and where did I Clint's channel, and I was probably on there 4 times during the campaign and I wasn't like there to pimp the book. I was there to pimp the book, but I was there to, we were I went on started actually selling the campaigns. And I think that was really important. One, it gets you used to being able to talk on a show. There's the nervous factor, but it also about the book, and I think that's important. You have to be practiced when you're talking about paramilitary adventure where special operations soldiers go up against cosmic, cosmic horrors and save humanity. You have to get your kind of messaging down before you can be about your stuff. So important part,
now you cut out
the leading up to and during. I'm sorry.
Now you cut out a little bit there. It sounded like you said you didn't just go on to pimp the book. It sounded like you were saying something like you went on to actually participate in the program to be, you were, actively in, discuss. I assume discussing other things, and then interspersing that with promoting your book. Is that correct or not?
Did I lock up?
Yeah, I've been locking up too. It's been kind of.
Anyway, you have to be part of the community, and you can't just be there to sell your book.
Okay. How about perks and stretch goals? How important are those to getting to where you want to be?
Well, you kind of.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me repeat it. How about perks and stretch goals? How important are those to boosting your bottom line there? Still can't hear it?
No, boosting the bottom line. Yeah. No, I think it's critical. So, like for instance, 2 shows really. So I launched on Clint's show, and then I got to be on. I did really well.
No. I asked about perks and perks.
I must have missed the entire first part of the question.
No, hey, it's fine. We're having internet troubles, and it's all right. I asked about perks and stretch goals and how important those were to boosting your bottom line.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know that stretch goals are huge. That being said, I think they give the people who are fans of the book something to help push 7,000, and you really want to get the extra 10 pages because the free 10-page comic as a $10,000 incentive to push for 10,000 before the end of the campaign, and because I didn't tell people I was going to go in demand. I was pretty sure I was going to do it, but instead of answering the question, you just kind of leave it open-ended. So maybe it's going to close out because a lot of guys close out. They don't do the in demand. So I think it's in. You heard important, right? That was the last thing.
I'm not even sure I heard that. But no, go ahead.
I think stretch goals are important, but they're not critical. I think they're important, but they're not like, the other thing about you. I was really surprised how many people went for the perk that had both books and the print. Doorkickers is a cool concept, I think, but ultimately it's a niche military horror, and then also it's unknown. Nobody knows about it until I tell them about it, and so that's people are showing a lot of faith in me by going after that. I want two copies of your print. And so that I think that was how well people responded to that, and that definitely pushes.
I'm sorry, forgive my ignorance here. The print being the poster, basically.
Right. Yeah, and that's going to be a fold-in poster. Yeah. Gotcha.
All righty. How about any other?
Oh, anyway,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Well, I heard you say different, and I was I think you cut out a little bit there. So go ahead.
I can just tell we're lagging right now because I saw your mouth moving and then I didn't hear you for about 10 seconds.
All right. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you fine. I can hear you. I just have to close my eyes so I don't.
Okay. All right. Why don't you finish out by just, are there any other tips that you would suggest for, to making a campaign successful? And then we'll just, I think we'll just end it on that question. Cause the internet, I don't know about you, but the internet problems are beginning to drive me nuts.
I know. I know. Well, I mean, I've had worse. So no, no. I think what's important is to make friends. If you have the ability to do your own channel, you should definitely do that. I just gotta
Hmm.
try to come in and expect people to buy it if you're not a true part of the community. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I think
Okay.
that's especially important in Comicsgate.
All righty. Okay, well, I wanted to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day to show up on this channel. I will, assuming that this will go up on YouTube, I will provide a link to your Indiegogo campaign, and if you shoot me a link to your
Twitter.
what was the other page? Not Twitter. Your Man, I'm just totally drawing a blank now. The other social media page you have, Instagram page.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
will.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. You've got that
yeah, I will. I will post that as well. So
again.
okay. Like I said, I will post the Instagram. I'll propose the URL for the link for the Instagram. I will post that as well. So okay. Thank you very much for doing the show with me, and hope to have you back soon.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
All righty.